What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Too Pop to Handle. I'm your host, Andrew Nucatola, your pop culture best friend, and as always, I hope you guys are having a fabulous week. If you are lucky enough to be in the New York area, I hope you're enjoying every single second of this fake fall that we're having. We've experienced fake spring together, we are experiencing fake fall together. Obviously, by next week, I'm sure it's going to go back to being hot as balls and be like 97 degrees outside, but for now, this like crisp, chilly little chill in the air that we're having. It is fabulous. I am loving it. And I'm wearing a sweater on August 21st. And I just feel like that's something to note. It's a light sweater. You know, I definitely have thicker sweaters in my closet, but I'm wearing a sweater on August 21st because this fake fall is just giving me that like chill in the air vibes that I need after the insanely hot summer that we've had, and I'm loving it. It is fabulous. So I hope you all are enjoying it as well. I hope you guys are all had fabulous weekend. I had so much fun at the 92Y Love Island event on Friday. If you missed it, I posted a bunch of content on my socials, on my TikTok, my Twitter, Threads, Instagram. Pretty much I posted on every single platform possible about this Love Island event on Friday, but it was so much fun. If you didn't listen to last week's episode, I was saying that I went to the 92Y, or I was going to rather, last time we spoke, for a Love Island panel with the cast, and it was with Remy Bader hosting it, which was fun, and it was their first event that they had after the reunion, so I was very excited going into it because obviously the reunion aired on Monday, and we're going to get into a full Love Island reunion recap later on in the show, so make sure you stick around for that. But this was the first time we would be hearing from the cast since the reunion happened, and I was tuned in. I was all ears. I was so excited. It was so much fun. If you missed any of that content, go check out my TikTok, check out my Instagram, Twitter. I have all of it there. But if you watched the reunion, you pretty much heard everything there that happened at the event. So you're all caught up to speed. But if you want to, support me and, go give me a like, maybe a follow, go check it out. But thank you again to 92Y for having me. It was so much fun. And I am so excited to dive into this Love Island reunion. There is a lot to talk about. Some things that I loved, some things I didn't love. Dare I say my yeses and messes for the reunion, but we will get there, the time will come. But before that, we have some housekeeping things to talk about before we hop into the rest of the show. And first up on the list, thank you guys so much for just being you. Last week, we charted on the Apple Podcast Entertainment News chart for the first time in the US. I have charted in the UK and the Canada, which I didn't even know. I just found that out last week as well. But I decided to check the charts. I never do because I'm just like little old me with my podcast. I'm like, not that I don't care about the charts, but it is what it is. Like, I'm gonna do this whether I have zero listeners or however many listeners I get every week. Like, I just enjoy doing this, but I decided to check and I found out that I not only had charted in the UK and Canada previously for entertainment news, but I was charting at the moment on the US chart for the first time ever. And I was like jumping up and down spots all week, which is cool to see. Like, I would go up, then I would go down, I would go back up. I think I fell out of the chart this week, today, which totally fine. It is what it is. But thank you guys so much. That was so cool to see. So keep sharing the podcast. Make sure you're leaving me a 5-star rating, sending it to your friends. I really appreciate it. It was really cool to see that I was, my hard work is paying off, the little podcast that could. And yeah, thank you guys. It was a nice little like pat on the back. I was like, wow, I'm doing something right. They actually like me. This is so cool. So thank you guys. And on top of that, we also had a very exciting announcement. If you don't follow me on my socials, which why don't you follow me on my socials? We are at 2pop to handle on all platforms. We being me, launched our website. So you can now go to 2poptohandle.com, find all of my episodes there. I have a newsletter sign up that I have live. It isn't running yet. I think I'm going to give myself like the end of the summer and then kick it off in the fall, like maybe around like the 1 year of the podcast. So I'm going to start a newsletter, working at the kinks on how I want to do it now, but sign up now. That way you'll get like the first one. You'll never miss one. I'm very excited to have like a new way to connect with everybody. And yeah, I really like the website. I think I did a really good job at designing it. She's really cute. She's colorful. She's fun, just like everything I want the show to be. So go check it out, 2poptohandle.com. Keep sharing the show with your friends. Leave a 5-star rating if you haven't. I just appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. It's been such a fun few months. We're coming up on a year of the show. This is our 44th episode, my 44th week doing it. So we have, quick math, 8 more weeks until our 1 year, which is fucking crazy. I started the show the last week of October, which is also crazy to think about the fact that October, really November, is 8 weeks away. Oh my God. That is insane. It's a lot of time, but it's not a lot of time. Like that's still 56 days, but that's only 56 days. Like that's crazy. I don't know. It's been a fun year. I'm very excited to see where the rest of the year takes us and where the podcast takes us. But for now, thank you guys for all of your support. I really appreciate it. And if you have not already left me a rating, I don't know what you're waiting for. I've given you nonstop premium content for 44 weeks. I have not missed a week of this podcast. What else do I have to do? Do I have to get an Olympic gold medal? Like, you tell me. Tell me what you need because I have more listeners than ratings and reviews for the podcast. So the math isn't mathing. But that being said, thank you to everybody who does listen, who has shared it, who has, done all the things. It was just really cool to see myself charting. And the same week that I launched the website, it was fun, a little, serendipitous moment. I love to see it. And with that, I'm going to stop talking about myself and we're going to talk about some pop culture things because after all, that is what we are here to do. So you guys know the drill. We are kicking off the show with my moments from the week that were just too pop to handle. Kicking it off with the big one, Miss Taylor Swift. And this first thing that we're going to chat about is something that I would normally roll my eyes at, but this week she did it in a way where I can't help but applaud her for doing it. So obviously we know how I feel about the whole digital releases of Too Pop to Handle of Tortured Poets Department. Wow, tell me you're obsessed with yourself without telling me you're obsessed with yourself. The digital versions of the Tortured Poets Department. I hate the tactic. I think it's tacky. I think it is tired. You are a billionaire. You are the biggest pop star in the world. We do not need more versions of this fucking album. But this week, she did the funniest possible thing she could have done. She blocked Kanye West on the Billboard 200 chart the week prior, and it would have been his 11th album in a row that charted at #1. She blocked him from #1. So when she released her digital version this year and blocked Chappell Roan, which we'll get into, she released Thank You aimEe live from London. And on the album, if you don't know, Thank You aimEe, KIM is capitalized in it. So for Kim Kardashian, this time she released it and YE was capitalized. So it was Thank You Kim, but a shout out to Kanye. So, especially with Kim and Kanye, really doubling down on her way back when. We love to see Taylor Swift coming out on top in this situation. I do really wish Chappell would have gotten #1 album last week. I think that would have been like such a, I don't know, just an exciting thing. You guys know I've been obsessed with Chappell and oh my God, I completely skipped the fact. Let's pause. Let's talk about myself again because obviously I like talking about myself. Sorry the episode is a day late this week. Yesterday was Thomas and I's 3-year anniversary, so obviously I wasn't going to record and, do the whole thing on our anniversary. So I pushed the episode, obviously a day back, but I have been holding in for 2 or 3 months the fact that I got us tickets to All Things Go in New York for our anniversary. So obviously Chappell Roan performing, Renee Rapp, you guys know those are 2 of my favorites. So I got us tickets back in June and I haven't been able to tell anyone because it was a surprise for the anniversary. So finally I gave him the tickets yesterday. He has them. I can talk about it. I am so excited. We're going to be seeing them next month. It's actually the same weekend we're seeing Sabrina Carpenter, which is literally Govball lineup again. It was like it was Renee and Chappell the same day and then Sabrina the day before. This time it's going to be Renee and Chappell on Saturday. We're seeing Sabrina on Sunday or Monday, whatever the day is. But regardless, I'm very excited to have a little taste of Govball back again because that was such a fabulous weekend and I'm very excited for that weekend again. So yes, I will be at All Things Go in New York only on Saturday though. I'm not going both days, but I am very excited and I cannot wait. Let's get back to Miss Taylor Swift. But yeah, so she blocked Kanye, she blocked Chappell, which I'll accept it at Kanye West's expense. Like it is what it is, was what it was. That being said, she also had the Wembley Stadium shows this weekend, and there was a lot that went down, a lot of clowning, and I think it was, it's gonna happen. I think Reputation's Taylor's version is literally going to be just like a joke for the fandom for the rest of the year. I don't think it's coming this year. I've said it a few weeks ago, I'm done clowning. I was lying. I was fully had my clown shoes on, my clown makeup. Like I thought it was coming. It did not come, but we did get a lot of other fun little moments from the weekend. And I have to say, my favorite moment from the weekend wasn't even Taylor Swift related. It was Miss Hayley Williams from Paramore, Suki Waterhouse, who was married to Robert Pattinson. She just had his kid, open for one of the shows. And Hayley came out on stage and before she sang Decode, which is a song from Twilight, she said, and I quote, Suki killed it earlier, but I would like to dedicate this next song to Mr. Waterhouse. He has a skin of a killer, don't he? And then played Decode from Twilight, which is just so funny. I wish Robert Pattinson was there. He wasn't. But as somebody who Twilight was like part of my building blocks as a teenager, like I loved the Twilight franchise. I still do. I mean, those movies are fantastic. The books were great too, but I mean, those movies, come on, like we were all obsessed with Twilight, right? Like, let's be real. So when I heard her say that, I was like, she had the opportunity to do the funniest thing possible, and she took it. But enough about Miss Haley Williams. Let's get back into Taylor. She brought out Florence on last night. So that was Tuesday, yesterday. My days were all mixed up. When I don't record on my regular schedule, don't ask me the day of the week. I am so dependent on this podcast for me knowing the days of the week because I have such like a routine with how I do my outline, when I record, when I edit, when I cut the social clips. Like I have such a routine with it that when I throw it off even a day, my whole week is in cahoots. I can't keep up. But yes, so yesterday she brought out Miss Florence Welch and they performed Florida together. It was the first time she sung it live. So much fun. I loved that. And on top of that, she brought out Jack Antonoff for the surprise songs. For the first song, the guitar set, and they did Death by a Thousand Cuts and Getaway Car, which is so exciting. But I just need to say, it's really funny the way that everybody hates Jack Antonoff until he's on stage with Taylor Swift performing Death by a Thousand Cuts and Getaway Car. Weren't you all just hating on him a few weeks ago? Weren't you all up in arms because he's producing for Sabrina, Stay Away from Chappell? Everybody wants to hate Jack Antonoff until he's on stage with Taylor Swift and suddenly everybody's back on board. I didn't forget. I did not forget. And if you do not know, this is not a safe space for people who do not like Jack Antonoff because we stand Jack Antonoff in this house. I love his production. I love his music. I think he is so talented. He is incredible. And I remember, I did not forget all of the shit you guys were talking when you found out that Jack was producing most of Sabrina's album. But now everybody wants to cheer and be happy and so excited that he's on stage with Taylor. I didn't forget. I remembered it all too well. That being said, Death by a Thousand Cuts, every single time she sings it, a little piece of me dies because it is like top 3 secret songs for me. Every single time she performs it, I'm just like, I'm never gonna hear this song live, but it's fine. I'm happy for everybody who did, I guess. Like, it is what it is. I did get Getaway Car with Jack at my Era show, so like I can't be that mad. And I also did get a music video premiere at my show, which they also got last night in London. So it was kind of like MetLife Night 1 repeated, you know, it kind of gave that same vibe. And that being said, she premiered the I Can Do It With a Broken Heart music video, and it was pretty much like a love letter to the Eras tour, which that song kind of is within itself anyway. I loved this video. It made me feel insane. And I was like, if I do not see the Tortured Poets Department set of this tour when she's back in the US in a few months, I will go crazy. I don't know how I'm going to get there. I don't know what it's going to take for me to get to another Eras Tour show. I need to see the Tortured Poets Department set. Even if I just go for the Tortured Poets Department set and the surprise songs and then I leave, like that is fine. I've seen the show twice. I don't need to see the whole show again. I would love to. I just want to see the Tortured Poets Department and the surprise songs for the night. That's it. That's all I care about. And this music video just cemented it even more because it was such a good video. I loved it. I love when she does these kind of like tour music videos. She's done it. She did Fearless, Sparks Fly, New Romantics. I feel like there's one other one. There's got to be one for Reputation. I can't think of what it is. But she pretty much every tour she does a like a music video type I'm sorry, a tour themed music video, and I just love it. I think it's so much fun. I love seeing like the insight of like backstage things like that. You guys know concerts are like my favorite thing in the world. I guess this is another good time to just plug the fact that if anybody would like to save some money on their SeatGeek order, you can use code 2pop to handle at checkout on your first order on SeatGeek and save $20 on your next concert ticket. So save some coin on your next concert on my dime. Nothing would make me happier. But that being said, she did release a new music video. We love to see it. And now the Eras Tour is on a break until October. Final leg is coming up. We are in the home stretch of the last few shows of this tour, which is crazy. Felt like the tour that would never end, and it is coming to an end. So who knows what's going to happen in the next few months. We have, I think it goes from October to December in the US and Canada. So we will see. Operation Get Andrew to the Eras Tour starts now. I will be there one way or another. And if I am not there one way or another, this never happened. I never said this. And the last little tidbit about Taylor Swift is such a crazy thing to be saying because, like, Donald fucking Trump. Like, what the fuck? I'm sure you've seen it. If you did not see, Swifties for Trump was trending over the weekend, which that in and of itself is like, those words are not synonyms. So, like, that whole thing trending on Twitter, I was like, what the fuck? And then that led to some AI generated photos of Taylor Swift saying, vote for Trump, the whole vibe. And Donnie decided to post them himself on Twitter and say he was like, I'm on board or something like that. And I need Taylor and Tree to release a scathing statement about Donald using her likeness against her will because I mean, God willing, she did not. I mean, I know she didn't allow him to use it, but like, they've got to come out and say something, right? Like, she cannot let this piece of shit use her image and her face to promote his campaign. And she's going to stay silent. We will see. I don't know. I'm very curious how that will roll out. But on the topic of Trump using people's music and face without their approval, Beyonce is stepping up to the mic and is threatening to sue Donald Trump or to give him a cease and desist because somebody on his team decided to post a video of him getting off of his jet with Freedom playing in the background, which, if you don't know, Beyonce gave Kamala the rights to use her song Freedom from Lemonade for her campaign. It's literally been the song that Kamala walks out to at every single rally she does, every video she does. Freedom is in the background, which I'm just happy to see that the song is getting its, rightful recognition. That's one of my top three on Lemonade, and to see it finally having its moment. And in this retrospect of like supporting the Kamala campaign, we love to see it. But somebody on Trump's team thought it would be a good idea to use that on top of a video of Trump getting off of his plane, and she is sending them a cease and desist. So we love to see it. Also, not to, compare two women, but it's not that hard, Taylor. Just step up, say something. Even if it's just a lawsuit, that's all you need to do. Just do something that signifies the fact that, like, you are not okay with what Donald Trump is doing. I know you're not. We all know you're not. But, like, come on. Step your cookies up. Let's do it. That being said, let's keep going. Enough politics on the show. We're ending it there. Moving right along on the topic of Beyonce, everybody's favorite entrepreneur. She is releasing yet another business. Earlier this week, she announced that she is releasing a whiskey brand called SirDavis. It is paying homage to her great grandfather, who was a famous moonshiner, I guess, back during Prohibition. Something about Beyonce, this bitch has layers to her. Every single one of her family members somehow has their foot in some type of business. Like, everything is paying homage back to her family, which I love. I really appreciate the fact that any business she engulfs on, for the most part, is like related to something with her family, with Sacred. Her mom obviously had the hair salon. I mean, I guess Ivy Park didn't really have anything to do with her family. Did it? No, I don't think so. I think she just wanted to, make some clothes. And she did. She did a thing. But now she is releasing things with full intention. So now we have SirDavis, a whiskey brand. I'm not a whiskey drinker. I'm on the fence. I haven't bought it yet, but I'm like considering it. Definitely a top shelf price. I think it sells for like $90 a bottle, which is pricey. But I mean, I don't think Beyonce is going to put her name on something that isn't top shelf worthy. So we will see. Very exciting. She released some fun little cocktails with it, and they were kind of like Beyonce honeybee themed, which is cute. So love to see it. I mean, Beyonce's a businesswoman at the end of the day. Like, she knows how to market something. She's going to do, she's gonna do her research, and she's gonna release something of the top notch quality. People are loving Sacred. People love her perfume. So she definitely doesn't put her name on just anything. So very excited to see how people like this whiskey. Again, I'm a tequila girl. Whiskey's not for me, but if Beyonce's name is on it, I'll probably end up trying it, if not buying it at some point. So stay tuned on that. And moving right along to another pop girl who I cannot get enough of, Miss Charli XCX. She's having her moment. I'm obsessed. And I just feel like in today's pop culture climate, one of like to stamp your pop culture passport is a SKIMS campaign. And not only did she have a SKIMS campaign, she did a campaign with SKIMS with the photos done by Petra Collins, which is just too pop to handle. Like, let alone Charli being on a Skims campaign. That in itself, major. I love to see Charli having this like mainstream pop girl moment. But the fact that Petra creative directed it and she did the photos. Also, the photos were definitely not like Skims-esque. They were definitely a lot more creative, which I think is the perfect way for Charli to do a Skims campaign. Definitely not her brand to do like just like the neutral, plain. I hate to say boring, but like the photos, they're showing off the garments, they're not exciting photo shoots all the time unless Kim is doing them, which is then they're, big, extravagant or holiday ones, things like that. But typically a Skims campaign, it's just like a hot person in their underwear posting in front of like a white wall, which it's effective. It is clearly selling very well. But these photos were very fun. They were very like, what's the word? I don't know. They were just like they were different for Skims, and I really, really loved it. And Kim came out. She made a statement. She said that having Charli XCX as the face of our new Skims campaign is so exciting. She is a one-of-a-kind talent who has truly cemented herself as a megastar within music and beyond. This is such an exciting time for the brand, and we are honored Charli and Petra chose to collaborate with us, as Skims is always trying to highlight individuals at the forefront of culture. And I think that sentence right there is just it encapsulates the way that Skims and Kim Kardashian, they are so on the pulse of what's trending, who's trending. Like I just always think of the White Lotus, the two girls from the White Lotus last season. The season like had ended, and by the next day they had a Skims campaign. Like they are just on the pulse so perfectly with culture and just like who's in, like who's buzzy. Getting Charli for this campaign was a no-brainer. Love the photos. I love that Petra was involved with it. 10 out of 10. We love that. And though the seasons are starting to change, Charli has told us that Brat Summer is not over yet. She has confirmed that there is one more remix coming for Brat. Is rumored to be with Katy Perry, which I'm fine with, but I understand why some people wouldn't be in today's climate, I guess. I don't know. I definitely think it would be a weird collab. Like, I don't think Katy Perry is very Brat. Like, I think it would be kind of cringy to have her on a remix, especially after how good all of the other remixes have been. But we will see. There is one more she's had in store for us. And then she's kicking off the Sweat Tour with Troye Sivan next month, which is so exciting. I cannot wait. Don't have tickets yet. I will be there. I will not miss that tour, let alone Charli and Brat in this whole moment. Troye Sivan is my guy. I love him. I have never missed a Troye Sivan tour, and I am not starting now. So I am very excited for Sweat Tour, very excited for whatever this remix is. And again, I just love to see Charli. I just love to see her succeed. Like she is killing it this year. It really has been like her moment. And somebody else who is having their moment is Miss Chappell Roan. She is, I mean, come on. She's just killing it. And this first story we're going to talk about, we have three things about her that we're just going to go through quick. The first part of this is the definition of too pop to handle. Moments like this are the reason I love pop culture and I wanted to start a podcast to talk about these things because Chappell Roan did an interview with Interview Magazine and she was interviewed by Bowen Yang. Like Chappell Roan getting interviewed by Bowen Yang for the magazine interview that was literally founded by Andy Warhol. That could not be more of a too pop to handle sentence if I tried. I ate every single line up of this interview. I love Bowen. I listen to Las Culturistas every single week. Very excited to see him in Wicked. Obviously, I love Chappell. If you don't know, I can you see in my mirror? Yeah, if you're watching the video, I literally have Andy Warhol on my wall. Like, love Andy. I just love this. This, when I saw this come out, it was like, oh, Chappell for interview. Bowen's on an interview. Bowen's interviewing Chappell for Interview Magazine. Like it was just so, it was too pop to handle, and I'm obsessed with it. The takeaways from it, she is really buckling down on the fact that she does not give a fuck about the charts, and I love that. I think, and the next point we're gonna get to in the next like part about Chappell is like really buckling down on this, but I really appreciate the way that she is. She's new to the scene and popularity wise. She's obviously been doing music for years, but she's clearly having this big moment. She really is like the name on everybody's lips, and she is not letting anybody steer her off the path that she wants to go on. She's like, I don't give a fuck about charts. I don't care about the normal public eye. Like, all I want to do is release pop music and like have fun and do my music and give, pay tribute to the gay community, do my thing. And she says in the interview, she said, my career doesn't mean anything more now than I have a charting album and a song. If anything, I'm just like, fuck you guys for not seeing what actually matters. A chart is so fleeting. Everyone leaves the charts. I'm just like, this is giving valedictorian, which I really do love that. I've said before, like, I really don't try to let charts sway how I feel about a project. It's just like, I could give two shits if the album's number one or doesn't chart at all. if it's good music, I'm into it. Of course, I like to see it and I like to celebrate when artists do well on the charts. But like she said, if being on the chart, winning a Grammy, all these things, like they don't define a good album. Let me remind you, Melodrama has no Grammys and it is questionably the best album of all time. That being said, Chappell, I just really appreciate the way that she is completely sticking to her guns and not letting like this fame and all the opportunity that she could have sway her from that. She also said that she originally started doing music because she wanted to get her foot in the door for acting. But as soon as she moved to LA, she said, I was like, fuck that. The industry is legitimately so scary and it is out of my control, which I do think acting and music are two completely different ball games. Like when you're doing music, at least you have, for the most part, some say in the things that you're releasing and like the production, who you work with, things like that. When you get cast in a role, you are playing that role. If the director does not like the way that you're doing the role or like how you're acting on set, like it could really just be a completely different monster. So I definitely see where like she would much rather stick to music and continue doing this because she can still she's acting on stage. Like she's putting on a show. Chappell is not her. Kaylee is her obviously her real name. Like Chappell and Kaylee are not the same person. I think people forget like don't think of that often. Like she's playing a character. She's literally Hannah Montana. She is Chappell Roan is not Kaylee. Like, you know what I mean? So I think she gets her acting fix doing that. And that kind of just like itches that scratch for her. So, or scratches that itches that scratch. Am I okay? But so that being said, we'll move on. This last little tidbit from the interview with Bowen, she said, in the past 8 weeks, honestly, my entire life has changed. It's been really emotional because I'm not just singing pop music. It's automatically political because I'm gay. I don't know anyone who's going through this personally. The biggest thing that has been getting recognized, and I just feel like it's not myself. Touring is all consuming. I've never given a fuck about the chart to being on the radio, but it's so crazy how industry people are taking me more seriously than before. I'm like, I've been doing this the whole time, bitch. She just, I really appreciate the way she is very, yes, it comes off kind of bitchy and she has an attitude, but I don't think she has an attitude. I think she just knows what she wants. Not over dramatic. I know what I want. The best line on her album. Like she's saying like, I have been doing music for so long and now everybody wants to pay attention. Why is it my fault that now I have to try to mold to these certain standards and fit a certain, a look or act a certain way or be a certain way? I've been doing this all along. Like, I'm not changing who I am just because I'm getting attention now. You liked me when I had this attitude and who I was. You're gonna keep liking me still. So I just appreciate that. I think like the whole narrative behind her needing to like change her attitude and change how she looks at things. I think maybe we need to change how we look at pop stars and how we treat celebrities and like stop asking for so much for them other than music. At the end of the day, these people are giving us art, which is so raw and personal to begin with, and to expect more from them. And I mean, I'm hosting a pop culture podcast. Like, clearly, I like to dive into these things. I like to read it. I like to know more. But I think where the narrative online right now is like, Chappell needs to change her attitude. I think maybe we as a society need to change our expectations for pop stars, which then leads me into my next point. She posted a 2-part TikTok the other day, pretty much putting her fucking foot down. If you did not see, she said, I don't care that abuse and harassment and stalking is a normal thing to do to people who are famous or a little famous. That does not make it okay. That does not make it normal. The discourse that she's getting of people being like, she needs to appreciate her fans, she needs to appreciate what she has. Yes, she should appreciate it. And I don't think she's not being appreciative by saying these things or having this mindset. I think, like I said, us as a society, we need to like stop expecting so much from these celebrities and these singers and these actors. Like they are giving us their art. They're doing what they're love to do, which of course we give them the platform to do it. But the discourse online around the fact of like, is she being a bitch? Is she having an attitude? Is she too early in her career? Maybe, sure. In a way, I can see what you're saying, but I'm still on the side of like, she doesn't owe you anything. If she doesn't want to take a photo with you when you're out and about, she does not need to take a photo with you. People are stalking her family. People are like finding out all these weird little details about her, which people do with all celebrities. And I think the fact that she is so not early in her career, but early in her fame, and she's setting these boundaries to begin with, and she's really just like buckling down on the fact that like this is not okay. I think it speaks a lot to her character. Like I said, she is stuck on the path that she wants to be on. She wants to release music, have fun, dress in drag, and then like go home and live a normal life, which clearly doesn't really come with being a celebrity, unfortunately, but I do really appreciate the fact that like this is one of the first pop stars we've had in a while who is putting their foot down and really setting this boundary. And I think it's something we haven't seen in a while, and I'm curious to see how it plays out. I don't know how it's gonna go. I This could be the last era, the first and last era we ever get of Chappell Roan. Like she might do this, finish it off, and be like, "This is too much for me. I can't handle it," which it's a lot. I understand. Especially the way that she skyrocketed. I think it was such like a crazy projection for her, and for all of this to happen so fast and like to not expect it, it definitely takes a toll on you. I do think the backlash she's getting is completely unwarranted. Like people need to really take a step back and be like, "Whoa, this girl went from having less than 1 million streams to like 50 million monthly listeners in less than 6 months." Like the eyes on her right now are crazy, and especially when you're not prepared for it or you're not like expecting this to happen. I don't understand the backlash she's getting. I don't know. People expect too much from celebrities, and they think that they're welcome to their personal life, and they owe them something almost, and they need to take a photo with them, and they need to know everything about them, and they need to know about their families, and they need to know about their personal life. But like if a celebrity chooses to only share XYZ of their life and keep the rest of the alphabet private, that's not a problem. Like, we need to normalize keeping things private in this situation and not expecting them to give us their entire life, which I don't know. I could go on. I could do a whole episode about this, but we're going to move on because, on a positive note, Miss Chappell Roan had a full circle moment last night, and she went on stage with Olivia Rodrigo at the Intuit Dome, which she started this year opening up for Olivia on the Guts tour. And to have this now projection and just like skyrocket and now go back on one of the last nights of the tour and perform Hot to Go with Olivia after she literally opened for this tour less than 6 months ago, or I guess it was like 6 months ago, it was like Marchish. Incredible. So cool. Again, just goes to show like how insane her career has skyrocketed to go from opening for Olivia, do this in crazy tour, press junket, all these festivals, and now she's going back to like finish the tour with Olivia. They did Hot to Go. It was so cute. I am so jealous of everybody who was in that room. It ugh I would have killed to have been there. That was just such like a career highlight for Chappell, for Olivia too. Olivia has been rooting for Chappell. There's like the videos of her at her show back like 2 years ago. I'm pretty sure Chappell also opened for the Sour Tour for a few dates. Like Olivia has been riding for Chappell for a year, so I'm sure she loves to see Chappell having this success and like to be able to like be part of her story and do it together. I love to see girls supporting girls. We love to see it. So that was just like, a fun little cherry on top of the shit that people are giving Chappell this week, and we love that. And wrapping up our two pop to handle moment for the week, Victoria Beckham is releasing a documentary, and I am so excited. So the documentary is set to offer us a behind the scenes look at her journey from becoming a Spice Girl to the creative director of her successful fashion and beauty brand. We just got the documentary about David Beckham last year, so it's interesting to see that now they're doing one on Victoria. She was obviously heavily involved in the Beckham documentary, the docuseries, whatever it was, but now to get one about her, I'm very excited for. Obviously, I'm a gay man who grew up in the 90s. I loved the Spice Girls. Where is the Spice Girls reunion tour that we keep getting promised? That's my question. I feel like every few months, Victoria's back on board. We're doing a Spice Girls reunion. They're going to do a whole tour. And then we get nothing. They're kind of like, they just kind of keep like edging us. And they're like, oh, we're going to give it to you. We're going to give it to you. And then we get nothing. It's really disappointing because I would do a lot to see the Spice Girls in concert in my adult age. Like, I don't care what I have to do, where I have to travel, like to see the five of them all together on stage would be insane. But I guess for now, I will take this documentary. I'm very excited to see what is in store. And yeah, so I'm very excited to see that. It is going to be, it's following her journey as she prepared for Paris Fashion Week next year. So we'll see some behind the scenes of like, I guess, how she started the brand and the decision making behind it. So I'm very excited for that. There was no release date, nothing like that. I think it's like literally just starting to go into development and production. So that'll be coming later on. I'm very excited for that. And just like, the Spice Girls are also too pop to handle. Very excited for that. And moving right along into our second segment of the show, it is time for our Drew releases, our new music releases from last week, and our releases coming up this week. This week we had a handful of releases, which I'm very excited about. First up was a release that I didn't even know was coming. It was kind of a surprise drop. Lonely is a Muse by Halsey. I've been loving this Halsey era so far. This song definitely threw me for a loop. Definitely a different sound than Lucky was. I loved Lucky even from her first song. The first song she released was, I forget the name, but it was like super slow, super sad, very not ballady, but just, a very slow, sad girl song. Then she releases this like Y2K pop style vibe with literally samples Britney Spears' Lucky. And now this new song is definitely dipping back into her rock roots, which I'm not mad about. I think Halsey does rock so well. I also think she's really good at genre bending. Like she really can switch her voice to do so many different genres, and she does them so well. So I'm not necessarily mad about the switch up in the sounds. I'm just confused about like what to expect from this album and what to expect from this era. We don't have much information about the album or like what the vibe, what the title, anything like that is. And she cleared her Instagram. She did like she's doing a lot. I feel like she did just get announced as a VMA performer, so I guess we'll get more information with that. That's going to be one of her first performances for this era, I believe. So I guess we'll get an like a vision into what to expect from the album. I could also just see Lucky being like a one-off single, maybe. I don't know. I'm very curious because we've gotten 3 songs from her in the past like 2 months, and all 3 of them sound like completely different genres and eras and whatever. And I don't know. I'm very excited to see what is in store for Halsey, but I did really like the song. I think it's really good. Her voice just, she really can go along so many different genres, and it works so well with her. So like I said, very excited to see what Halsey has in store for us. And speaking of people who can go across whatever genre they want, let's give it up for Miss Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars, Die With a Smile. This song is incredible. So last week when we were speaking, I was saying it's rumored, we had some ideas that it was happening. There was like that leaked radio screenshot that came out that is saying it was impacting radio this week. And then literally the day that I released my episode last week, they announced the single was coming out on Friday. So I I love this song. It's so good. I think their voices, like I said, they melt so well together. Like I literally said it last week. I was like, they are going to sound so good together no matter what the genre, no matter what's going on. And I was very curious about like how this came about. Can confirm it is not part of the LG7 landscape, pretty much like I predicted. But we got some statements from them. So Gaga said, I was finishing on my own album in Malibu one night. After a long day, Bruno asked me to come to his studio to hear something he was working on. It was around midnight when I got there, and I was blown away with what I heard and what he started making. We stayed up all night and finished writing and recording the song. Bruno's talent is beyond explanation. His musicianship and vision is next level. There was no one like him. And then Bruno said, getting to work with Gaga has been an honor. She's an icon and she makes this song magical. I'm so excited for everybody to hear it. So obviously the two of them just have such respect for each other. And the video, I love. It's so simple but so effective the way they do it. I love the look on Gaga with that like the fun lashes, the hair, the cigarette hanging out of her mouth while she's performing. It's so good. This song is incredible. I didn't know what to expect, and I figured I would love it because I love Gaga and I am a fan of Bruno. So I was like, it's gonna be good. They nailed it. Her vocals on this track are to die for. She's so talented. And we know Lady Gaga's talented. Like fork found in the kitchen, Lady Gaga has a good voice. We know, but this song is like one of the best vocal what's the word? Like vocal performances I feel like we've gotten from her in a long time, and I fucking love it. Oh, it's so good. I'm so excited for LG7, but this was a really nice little thing to kind of hold us over and kind of like refresh our palette before we dive back into like true Gaga sounds, because I do really think we're gonna go back to like Born This Way kind of vibes with LG7, like get like a taste of like Chromatica, taste of art pop, taste of Born This Way, kind of like amending of all of their albums. And if I'm wrong, I guess I'll eat my words when the album comes out, but that's the vibe that I'm getting after she did like the teaser at the end of the Chromatica documentary. She released that like snippet to the people at the Olympics. Like I'm just getting this like fun electronic experimental sound from her, and I feel like it's going to be a really like a marriage of all of the genres and sounds that she's done. So this was a nice little like palette refresher, like I said, to kind of like give us a breather, prepare us for whatever is in store. We also have the Joker movie coming out, which is definitely going to be more of like a Broadway vibe for her. Like it's going to be very theatrical. So whatever she has on that album is going to be very different from what she's doing on LG7. So I feel like she's kind of like giving us this breather and giving us some kind of like non-traditional Gaga sounds for the time being before she dives in full-fledged to LG7, and I cannot fucking wait. I am so excited. Moving along to our next release, like I said last week, there were 3 albums coming out this week: Tinashe, Maud Latour, and Post Malone. I did not get around to Post Malone's album. I'll get there eventually. I'm honestly like not dying to listen to it. I'm not gonna lie. It's just like a male singing country. I'm like, whatever. But I did listen to Tinashe and I did listen to Maud Latour. Loving both of these projects. I didn't realize Tinashe's was an EP. So when it ended, I was like, that's it. I think it was like 8 tracks. Not that it was great. I loved the project, but I didn't realize how short it was gonna be. But such like a solid piece of work. She's really having her moment as well, and I'm loving that for her. My top 3 from the album I have to, or the EP rather, is Cross That Line, No Simulation, Getting No Sleep, obviously Nasty's on the EP, which is just like smash hit. I loved this project from her. And speaking of projects that I love, Maud Latour released her debut album Sugar Water, and it is fantastic. I've talked about her a few times on the podcast. When she released her single for the album a few months ago, I was saying how much I loved it. She is definitely not a sound for everyone. She's very like, kind of like Lord Charlie. Yeah, like if Lord and Charlie had a baby almost, but like earlier Lord and Charlie, like kind of like pure heroin. But I'm loving it. It is so good. The opening track of the album, Officially Mine, is Chef's Kiss. It is so good. I'm loving Curse Romantics, Infinite Roses, Cosmic Superstar Girl. This album is so good. For a debut album, it is just fun. Definitely a sound that's not for everyone, like I said, but I think if you're into like Lord, Charlie, kind of that like more like Tumblr grungy pop kind of vibe, I think you would Marine in the Diamonds almost, like I think you would be into this. So I would definitely suggest listening to it. It is so good and I'm loving it. And then coming up this week, we have Sabrina Carpenter's Short and Sweet. I feel like we have been anticipating this album for so long, and I am so excited that it is finally here. We are just a few days away. I cannot wait to talk about it next week. And that wraps up our releases for the week. And that being said, we are moving right along into our next topic, which is one of our main points of the show. Billboard has started to release their list of the best pop stars of the 21st century. They said that with the first quarter of the 21st century coming to a close, over the next 4 months, we're going to be unveiling our picks for the 25 most important and impactful pop stars of the last 25 years. They went ahead and they released their honorable mentions list, and they released one artist to the actual list of the 25 greatest pop stars. So we're going to go through the honorable mention really quick. We'll talk about who was announced, and we're going to talk about who I think is definitely going to make this list. So on the honorable mentions list, I don't think they're in any specific order how they did it, but I just did it the way that they announced it. So honorable mentions for the best pop stars of the 21st century, they had 50 Cent, Alicia Keys, Cardi B, Billie Eilish, Carrie Underwood, Chris Brown, which can we just like stop including Chris Brown in things? I don't get how this man has a platform, how he has album sales, how he has tours that are selling out. Like, why are we still giving Chris Brown a platform? I don't care if Rihanna's forgiven him. I don't care if he's like if he's good looking. Like he is such a bad person. Why is he on this list? Why is he getting praise from anybody? Like, I just don't understand. But moving along, the next person on this list absolutely should have been in the top 25, and I'm actually shocked that she's not. But Christina Aguilera, to say that Christina was not such a pillar in early 2000 pop, just wrong, incorrect. Like, yes, I'm glad she's on at least honorable mention, but like to not give Christina a top 25 spot, who was on this list? I cannot wait to see it. We will see. Next up, we have Doja Cat, Dua Lipa. I wish Dua would have made the list, but like I understand why she didn't. It is what it is. I'm less mad about Dua not making the list than I am Christina. Future, Jennifer Lopez, who we will talk about JLo in a bit because we have some things to discuss. And this next one personally offends me because how dare you not put the American Idol, Kelly Clarkson, on the top 25 pop stars of the 21st century. She's literally the American Idol. She is Kelly Clarkson. How is she not on the fucking list of the 25 best pop stars? I don't understand. I feel like that is so wrong. She is the American Idol of the 21st century, and you're gonna not put her on the list. She's an honorable mention? Their reason being, they said, Clarkson has unquestionably endured as a multimedia celebrity, but her time as a hit-making pop star was really limited to her first 10 years after Idol. Have you listened to her latest album? Her latest, like, 3 albums? They are incredible. She is, I, I just don't have any room in the Too Pop to Handle atmosphere for anything negative about Kelly Clarkson. And this, I took this personally. I'm not gonna lie. This really, when I saw her on the list, I was like, am I reading the right list? Like, this just feels sacrilegious to me. Moving along before I, have an aneurysm or anything, we have Kendrick Lamar, Kesha, Lana, Lord is an honorable mention, and I do understand that. Though she is my, my girl, my fave, I understand why she's not on the list of the top 25. They pretty much just said that her commercial success and overall volume of her output is a bit lacking for her to crack the top 25, which it makes sense. I mean, she releases an album like every 4 years. She definitely, I mean, you guys know she's like my favorite artist, but I understand her not being in the top 25. I definitely think Christina Aguilera and Kelly Clarkson deserved a spot over her and over a lot of the people who are going to end up making the list. But that being said, let's continue. Maroon 5, Megan Thee Stallion, Missy Elliott should have been in the top 25. She is such a trailblazer for women in hip hop and rap, and for her to not be on the top 25, I'm very curious who is going to be in this list. I don't know. We will see. Missy Elliott, like I said, Nelly, Olivia Rodrigo, Pink, Post Malone, Sean Paul, and SZA. They said that despite SZA's undebeatable impact, she didn't really become a proper pop star around 2021, meaning she missed out on the majority of the young century, which I could see. I understand that. That's fine. Like, it is what it is. So those are the honorable mentions. Like I said, there are some on there who I definitely would have put in my top 25 list, but number 25 on the list of the pop star, of the greatest pop star of the 21st century is Miss Katy Perry, and I feel like this is absolutely correct. They said her dizzying, era-defining peak still burns as bright as a firework in the minds of pop fans. She has 9 number one songs on the Billboard Hot 100 and 3 number one albums on the Billboard Top 200. And let's not forget that for 23 years, no other artist besides Michael Jackson had 5 number ones from a single album until Katy Perry released Teenage Dream. Like, I think to not have Katy Perry in the top 25 greatest pop stars of the 21st century would be a disservice to not just her career, but to the Teenage Dream album in and of itself. Like, that album was such a turning point for so many people's like love for pop music, and she really was like, she released that album. Obviously one of the boys was huge as well. Like, she had a really good debut track record, like, in that sense. But Teenage Dream, I mean, to say it is not one of the top 5 best pop albums ever, you would be lying to yourself. So she absolutely deserves her spot on this list. I am very happy to see her on that list. It is what she deserves. Like I said, they haven't released anybody else. That is the only person they have released so far, and I'm very excited to see who else is on this list. They said they're going to be releasing them over the span of 4 months, so I don't know the cadence. I don't know how often they're going to be doing it. I'll update you guys as we go. Maybe I'll wait until we have like the top, like the 20 to 25, then I'll do like in increments of 5. We'll see. I don't know how I'll do it, but very excited to see this list and to see where we go from there. So I thought it would be fun to kind of dive into like, who is the best pop star of all time? Because there's so many pop stars. And like, even when it comes to like genres, like, are we saying pop stars and people who make pop music? Or is it just people who are like famous in popular culture? Like, obviously 50 Cent, Missy Elliott, like, they're not releasing pop music, but they're pop stars. Like, they are huge in pop culture. So it is, I feel like there's so many different things that really could contribute to what puts somebody on this list. And I had so much fun putting together my prediction for the rest of the list. Obviously, I have my personal faves. Like, in it, I think everybody can agree Beyonce will be in the top 5. Maybe not the first one. I don't know who they're going to put number 1. It definitely, I think it should be Beyonce. Like, in my perfect world, Beyonce is number 1. But who, I'm not on the Billboard team. We will see who they put at number 1. I will put money on the fact that Beyonce will be in the top 5. Taylor Swift will obviously also be in the top 5, if not number 1. I think Britney Spears clearly has a spot on this top 25 list. The fact that Christina was an honorable mention, if they don't put Britney Spears in this list, they need to close their doors. Like, if Britney Spears is not in the top 10, let alone, I would even say the top 5. Like, when you look back at the projection of Britney Spears' career in the early 2000s and like the things that she was doing, I think her first like 4 or 5 albums all went number 1. Like, she was breaking records and doing things that like female pop stars weren't doing at that time. There's is a no-brainer. Britney is on this list. Gaga, also a no-brainer. She has to be on this list. Don't know where she's gonna fall. I could see her being in like the 10 to 20 range, maybe even maybe top 10. I don't know, but definitely if anywhere, I'm gonna say like 11 or 12 for Gaga. I'm excited to like revisit this episode when the full list is out and see if I'm right. But Gaga absolutely should be on the list. Rihanna, I think she'll be top 10, no question. Adele, I'm sure she will be on this list somewhere. Not sure where. She is one that I don't know where to place because in my book, like she's top 10, but I could see them having other people above her. And again, she doesn't release as often as some pop stars, but like we can't not think about the fact that like she sold 3.8 million copies of 25 in 1 week. I remember so vividly seeing that stat come out and being like, oh my God, this is fucking insane. Like, she has to be somewhere on this list. To me, I'm putting her top 10. I do think Eminem will be somewhere on this list. I just think thinking back to the early 2000s and like he was such like a pillar in early 2000s hip hop and rap and like really was kind of like pushing the limit and barriers with his music, and he really is one of like the greatest rappers. I talked about him last week as well. He's been like very hot topic lately, I feel like. I don't listen to him often. I grew up listening to him with my dad, but like it didn't really stick from there, but I do think it would be a disservice if he wasn't in this list. I do kind of see him maybe more low hanging fruit, like maybe in like the 20 to 25 range, but I do think Eminem will definitely be somewhere on this list. Justin Bieber, no brainer to me. He has to be on this list. Bieber fever was fucking real and it was contagious. I didn't necessarily have Bieber fever. I understood it and like I can understand why people liked him, but he wasn't my vibe. I do think he is incredibly talented and like he really was such a defining moment in pop music of the 2010s. Like he was up there with like Katy Perry, Gaga, like all of that vibe. So if he's on this list, I would be shocked. I do also think Shakira might be on the list. I feel like people forget about like how impactful she was in the early 2000s. She got the video Vanguard last year. So I do think like she's kind of like people are starting to put some respect in her name, especially she did the Super Bowl a few years ago. I could see her being on it. Like I think she'll definitely be in there. I do think she'll be more like 21 to 25 range, but I do think Shakira will be on there because she did make an impact for especially like Latinas in pop music. She was such a like a driving force, you know? So I do think we will see Shakira on this list. Ariana Grande, I definitely think she deserves a spot on this list. In my perfect world, she's top 5, but I could see her being top 10 in Billboard. She has done, obviously, I mean, she's Ariana Grande. Like, she is a perfect pop star, so we will see where she ends up there. I really, 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 really would love to see Miley Cyrus on this list, let alone her being one of my faves. I just think thinking in the early 2000s, or I guess like mid 2000s to like 2010s, between Hannah Montana, then her own music, like she was releasing albums as Hannah and breaking Billboard records, and then going on to like be Miley Cyrus, let alone getting the Disney Legends last week. Like she has had such an illustrious career, and I think to not put her in the top 25 greatest pop stars of the 21st century would just be they'd be lying to themselves. Like there's no world in which Miley Cyrus isn't on this list. I'm gonna say maybe like 10 to 20 range. I don't know if she'll be top 10, but I definitely think she has like a solid spot in the 10 to 20 range, somewhere there, maybe like the 10 to 15 even, I would say. I would love to see that. And then I wasn't sure where to place them and if they would be on this list, but I do uh, now that I'm saying it out loud, maybe not, but like maybe One Direction. Like not in my world. I wouldn't put them anywhere. Like I don't see them as like one of the greatest pop stars of the 21st century, but I know I'm in the unpopular, decision there. They clearly were the biggest thing at the time, and similar to Bieber Fever, like people were going crazy over One Direction, and they released some incredible music. Don't get me wrong, they weren't my cup of tea. I love Harry and like I'm into his solo music, but One Direction just wasn't my thing. But I understand why they were some other people's things, and I do flex a lot that I did see One Direction and 5 Seconds of Summer on tour together. Like I wasn't in it, but I was in it enough to know like, okay, go to this tour because it's gonna be major and people are gonna like wish they went to it. So I did go see them on tour. So I can't say I wasn't I didn't I got it, like I understood it, but I don't know. We'll see. They're like my maybe, but I think everybody else on this list absolutely. Somebody who I think deserves to be on this list, but I don't know what their like criteria for their debut, and like they weren't very clear on like how they're going to pick people as far as like when they were releasing music, but I think Madonna definitely deserves a spot somewhere on this list. I just don't know if she would fall as a 21st century pop star. She was obviously releasing music well into the 2000s and like she was still like having her moment, but she was clearly more of like a 80s, 90s vibe, but I do think like she was like killing it in the early 2000s. So I I just don't know. I don't know what they will do as far as like, does debut count? Like, is it like career highlights in that moment? That I'm not sure. But yeah, so we will see. I'm very excited to kind of see like when the article finishes and like revisit this episode to see who was on the list, who wasn't. Oh my God, Nicki Minaj. Hello, am I okay? Nicki Minaj will absolutely have a spot on this list. I cannot believe I didn't put her in my original. Hello, am I okay? I'm trying to think who else could be on this list that I didn't think of. I want to like be ahead of the Billboard, be ahead of the curve. Who else? Ed Sheeran. Oh, Ed Sheeran for sure will be on this list. The Weekend. I could see The Weekend being on this list. Yeah, I don't know. I'm very excited to see like who is going to make this top 25. If I wonder if everybody I said, ooh, hit my mic. Wonder if everybody I said will be on it, if they won't be. I'm just excited. I'm very curious to see, when this list comes out. We will revisit this episode and we will go back to it. But for now, we are going to move on, and that wraps up our conversation on the best pop stars of all time. Moving right along into the moment we've all been waiting for. It is time to recap the Love Island reunion. And there's a lot to talk about, but there also isn't. I will say this reunion, it definitely could have been a lot juicier. There definitely could have been some more drama. I definitely think they probably cut some things out. I know they started filming it super late. They apparently Kaylor and Aaron were like fighting with each other and they had to keep delaying and delaying and delaying filming. So I wonder how long it was supposed to be versus how we got. I want to say it ended up being like an hour and 20 minutes. And don't get me wrong, the reunion was really good. I thought we got a lot of closure, a lot of insight to the season that like wasn't clear while we were watching it. So I'm very excited to dive into this. And kicking it off, I just need to say the whole situation between Kendall and Nicole is really just upsetting to me. First of all, if you listen to my episode where I talked about the Love Island couples and like where they were going to end up, Kendall and Nicole, I was so sure they were going to be endgame. I loved them. I thought they were like a perfect couple. Come to find out, as of yesterday, they broke up after having that entire conversation on the reunion. So let's get into it. So obviously, Kendall got out of the villa and was immediately faced with revenge porn, which is so disgusting and just like terrible. So we come to find out that he lied to Nicole about when that video was recorded. It was actually recorded right before he went into the villa. So I guess while they were like being in their isolation period before the show starts, that video was filmed and he sent it to whoever. Don't know who he sent it to, what apps he was on. You can draw your own conclusions there. I'm not getting into it. But so she was upset that Kendall lied to her about when the video was filmed, which I can understand being upset about being lied to your partner, by your partner rather. Like, it is upsetting. Nobody should be lied to, especially by your partner. If you're, like, putting myself in Nicole's shoes, being lied to by anybody is not okay. But the fact that Nicole went into this reunion with this victim mentality, acting like she is the victim in the situation, when somebody just released revenge porn of Kendall, which is got to be so like the things that must have went through his mind when he got out of the villa after being away from the public and his phone and his family and his friends for however long he was in there for, to then find out that somebody leaked that video and the entire world was seeing it, especially at the global stage that Love Island was at this season. Like, for Nicole to go into this reunion thinking she is the victim because people were bullying her and making comments about her, as if people didn't just watch Kendall get exposed to the entire world. Like, she was in the wrong 100%. I'm sorry if you think Nicole was right in the situation, you are wrong, and you really need to like reevaluate. I can agree, being lied to, nobody likes to be lied to, and he should not have lied. But to put myself in Kendall's shoes, think about getting out of this situation where you were in high stress, you were like trying to find the love of your life on live television. The episodes air 2 days after they're filmed, so it is in real time where this is happening. To get out of that and being on the like most watched TV show of the moment right now, and for that to happen, I would probably lie too, just to like cover my ass for a little bit and really like boil down what was happening. I don't know. I just think the way that she approached it was so wrong, and the way that she just like tried to get everybody to like be on her side and like completely, I don't know. It rubbed me the wrong way. I did not like it. It really upset me because I thought the two of them were in game and they broke up yesterday. So it is what it is. Enough about them. I'm over it. I can't deal with it. I don't know, whatever. Let's get into the juicy parts of it because Janae pulling out a list of fucking receipts is one of my favorite reality TV moments probably to date. It was incredible. She did not miss a beat. She said, "Well, actually, let's look at page 4. You said that she was two-faced." I love her so much. She was my favorite from day 1 in the villa and she has just carried through the entire season, this press junket, the reunion, everything. At the event that I went to on Friday, she was the only member of PPG there, and I'm so happy she was there. I love Serena, I love Leah, but Janae is my fucking girl. I love her. She is hilarious. And when she pulled out that notes, I was fucking obsessed. So the reason she pulled out the notes obviously is because Leah and Andrea were going at it, and I'm so happy. Not that Leah doesn't ever speak her mind, but I'm so glad that Leah whipped her head around to Andrea the way that she did, because the way that she was completely eating her own words, Andrea, and being like, people act on emotions and people are, being mean, when that's exactly what Andrea was mad at Leah for doing. Like, good for you for standing up for yourself, Leah, and like not letting her just kind of like take the reins and like have her little sob story moment, because like, girl, get over yourself. The way she was like crying, like, I don't know. I just thought the way that a lot of the girls were acting at this reunion, I understand. Uh, this is going to come off wrong. I understand cyberbullying is wrong. Nobody should cyberbully anybody. I get that. But to go on a TV show and come out of it and not expect it, and then go on the reunion and go on this like not even apology tour, just this like moment of like, oh, pity me, da da da. Like, you were on the reality show with everybody else. We all saw what you were doing. We saw what you were saying. No, nobody deserves to get hate online. That is not what I'm saying. But to go on the reunion and like have this sob story and completely contradict everything you were saying on the show while you were also like talking shit online, like, it just like 2 plus 2 is fish, girl. Like, you are not adding up. And I'm very glad Leah whipped her head around and stood up for herself. I also love that when Ariana was like, where do we go from here? Like, how do we draw this conclusion? Janae said, keep Leah's name out your mouth. Simple. End it there. Period. Done. Point blank. We are done. We are good. I love Janae. I love her so fucking much. Moving along, the fact that they showed the entire fire pit scene where they were debating who they were going to vote out was fucking crazy. First of all, we did not need the entire 17 minutes. Like, that was excessive. They showed I mean, I get it. We need to see like for the dramatics of it, but like, it was definitely entertaining. Don't get me wrong, but like to see that entire scene, I was like, okay, like, Leah didn't lie. Big shocker. I feel like the big message from the reunion is like, people need to stop thinking Leah is like this like shady bitch who is like lying to people, like pulling the wool over people's eyes, because she has literally shown that she has told the truth and been honest and been real the entire time she was on the show. And I think that is why people love her so much, because everybody sees that like she's not this like slimy, sleazy girl going around trying to like fuck with people. People for some reason just like perceive her this way. Honestly, I think she's just like very gorgeous and like kind of intimidating to people, so they just like immediately assume she's gonna be a mean girl. But like, this reunion did nothing but solidify the fact that Leah is the people's princess. Everybody loves her. Everything she did and said in the villa, like, she owned up. She owned her wrongs, and even her wrongs, like, she had such valid points on why she did and said the things that she did. Ugh, they can never make me hate her. I love her. So we did end up seeing the backseat situation, which that was just so funny. I loved the whole, as soon as Ariana said backseat, the way the girls jumped on it. And Liv was like, I think backseat means it's in the eye of the beholder. Like, you, you write your own definition. Like, they all owned their shit and they all definitely like completely, you could tell that they talked about it and they have like been like, hey, let's scrap this. Like, we're a family, like, we're sisters, like, it's not worth the drama. I thought it was really big of Liv to apologize to Leah for the backseat comments. Like, she fully owned that she stirred the pot with Rob. She like lied, not lied, but she just like stretched the truth and like wasn't fully honest about what Leah was saying in that fire pit. They showed it, like, she was very, very much like, as much of the conversation she gave, can I speak? She gave as much to the conversation as the rest of the girls did. And I think the way that she was painted as like, she wanted to send Andrea home, she was the one who did it, she was like leading it. She literally said, she was like, if we send Andrea home, they're gonna think it was because of me. And that's exactly what everybody thought. And I love the fact that like, everybody was able to be like, oh, you know what? Leah was right the whole time. Like she knew it was gonna happen. She has her fingers on the pulse of this fucking villa. She was the princess of the fucking villa. Point blank period. I loved it. Leah also snapping on Aaron and saying, are you a gossiper or are you a bitch? Aaron needs to be put in his fucking place. I am so sick of that fucking man. Let alone the whole drama with Leah and how she literally was like, are you going to apologize to me after saying that all the girls are idiots for sending Andrea home and pissing off Rob? Like, the way that Aaron literally would take a bullet for Rob, like, I get it, a bromance is cute, but like, their relationship, I don't understand. They are so, I don't know. They something about their relationship. They have bumped purses one or two times in that villa. That being said, Kaylor finally handing Aaron his ass at the reunion was everything to me. The fact that he was lying to her up until they sat on those fucking couches and didn't tell her half the things he did with Daniela until they were at the reunion because he wanted to wait until they were at the reunion to tell her, he is fucked in the head. There is something so wrong with his brain chemistry. The fact that he thinks that it's okay to like be in they were in the relationship the entire time. They were coupled up the entire fucking time they were in the villa, and Kaylor kept making herself look stupid. She kept going back to Aaron. She kept forgiving him for everything that he did, and she didn't even know half the things that he did with Daniela. Like the fact that she found out what Aaron and Daniela fully did when everybody else did is so insane. They left that villa like in love. They were so happy. They were boyfriend, girlfriend in the villa. They were literally dating in the villa, and he was still lying to her and completely like fucked her over. I thought her comment when she said, I went into the villa one way and had this confidence and I left the villa a different person because you beat me down, you ruined me. Like I thought that was so, it was upsetting to hear, but also like so telling of how like she really was all in and committed and loved him and really wanted it to work out, and he was just there playing her like a fucking violin. She definitely should have, stood up for herself more and like not given it her all to him the entire time. I think that is on her. But at the end of the day, she's 22 years old. Like, we've all been there. Like, we've all sipped the dumb bitch juice a little too much. So I understand where she's at. I think Serena being like queen boss pussy bitch or whatever she said after Kaylor said that was fucking hilarious. I love Serena. She is so funny. I thought this reunion, it was really good. Oh my God. Serena and Daya having that little moment when Daya was like, I appreciate you not going on podcasts and talking shit. And Serena was like, no, I appreciate you. Like, we're a good girl. Like, obviously, Cordell brought her back from Casa and it broke Serena's heart. Serena literally went fucking bananas on him, which he deserved. Like, don't play with her like that. And I think the fact that like her and Daya fully were like, hey, we're good. Like, it happened. We were on a TV show, whatever. I thought that was really big of both of them, and the fact that like they were able to like make amends. There was never even like amends to make. They were fine. Like there was no beef, no drama. Like they were good to go. But I think the fact that they like had that moment, fully like rounded it out and just were like, we are good, no hate. Like she was like, I'm so happy for you two. I'm so glad that you won. I was ready to go with that recoupling. Like I wanted to go home. I was over it. Like clearly, like the water, it was not as deep as I thought it was. And I thought that was such a cute little like girls moment. It was so cute. I loved it. But I do have to say, I am very upset that we didn't get to see Janae rip Connor a new one because even there's videos of her outside of the reunion and she was like, is Connor in there? Like she was fully ready to go in there, hand him his ass. Like, I want to know what they cut from the reunion. I want to know what was said behind the scenes that we didn't see. I just don't see Janae not standing on her business with Connor the way that she has been saying it in every podcast. As soon as I get in there, I'm going to go for Connor. As soon as I get in there, I'm going to go for Connor. As soon as I see Connor, I'm going to hand him his ass. Like, she has been so anti Connor and ready to just like hand him his ass and rip him a new one. I just do not believe that there were no words exchanged between the two of them. I don't know. I think we definitely missed out on a lot. I think the way the production had to push things so late and like continue to just like push things back because they couldn't get things going on time. I think it definitely gypped us from the reunion that we could have gotten. There definitely was the dramatic moments. I definitely got like my fix of the reality TV drama, and I think they definitely like delivered a solid reunion. But I'm missing that Janae and Connor drama that I was really, really, really banking on because I know Janae handed him his fucking ass, as he deserves it, because he played in her damn face. Mm, pissed me off. That being said, this season of Love Island was fantastic. I fucking loved it. The reunion was great. I'm sad to see it over, but I have a really strong feeling that PPG are going to get their own spin-off or something. I think they are in just such a hot moment right now. Everybody wants to work with them. They just all signed to talent agencies. Leah literally just signed to United Talent Agency today, which is like one of the biggest talent agencies anybody can sign to, and she signed to it today, which is fucking crazy. Like, she is about to have a world domination, I hope. You know, you never know with these influencers. You never know what's going to happen. But like, she was out with Alex Earl the other night. Like, she is fully, I feel like she's about to be in her bag deep. And I am so ready for it. And I think it would be stupid for Peacock not to do a spin-off with the three of them, because people want it. People are here for it. The three of them are still with their mans. Like, let's do it. And wrapping up our TV segment, speaking of fantastic reality TV, The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City are back. This trailer looks so fucking good. So obviously, season 4 of the House of Salt Lake City ended with a bang. We found out Monica to reality bond tease. The girls were all like freaking out, going crazy, and this season looked so good. Started out with Heather and Whitney having their moment together, where she was like, "You're one of my best friends. I never thought you would betray me like this." So I am like 99% sure that Whitney, whether she gave Monica a second chance or like whatever the situation may be, we're gonna see some drama between Heather and Whitney, because I know Monica like shouted out Whitney and been like, Whitney has been one of the only girls who has come to me, stood up for me, heard my side of the story, and I think Heather is going to lose it on her even more than we heard in the trailer, and I am very excited. But before we go even further into this trailer, the next time Lisa Barlow throws a Lisa Barlow themed brunch, I need an invite. I need to be at a brunch. I will wear a Lisa Barlow wig. I will drink a Diet Coke. I will bring Wendy's. Like, Lisa Barlow, tell me where to be. Tell me, what the vibe is, what we're doing, because I need to be at the reservation for 8 Lisa's party next time. It like I was obsessed. That was so fucking funny, and I'm so excited for this season. It also appears that Lisa and Whitney have some words at this brunch, so we'll see what's in store for that. The fact that Lisa like literally tried to rip Whitney's wig off and say, "You will never be me," I was like, "Oh, mother is mad." So we will see, what unfolds there. And a lot of people seem to be coming for Lisa's neck this season. I mean, Angie K is commenting on her parenting, and she has a lot to say about that. So we will see what unfolds there. I also think it's very interesting that Angie K and Mary seem to be becoming friends this season. Like, definitely not two people that I would see together. Definitely not like two peas in a pod, but I guess we'll see how that friendship unfolds. I'm very curious to see where that goes, because that just seems definitely not like a friendship that I would predict. But you know what? Something about Mary Cosby is like, expect the unexpected. I'm surprised she's even back as a full-time housewife. I think the fact that she didn't show up to that reunion, stepped down and was a friend of, and is now invited back to the show is very, very interesting. I don't know. Something feels very weird about Mary being fully back after all this shit that she talked and like not showing up to the reunion. Like, I don't know who Mary knows at Bravo that is like keeping her in this circle, but I thought after not showing up to the reunion, she wouldn't even be allowed as a friend of. And the fact that she was there as a friend of and now she's coming back as a housewife, I am very surprised and very shocked. So we will see how that unfolds, but clearly she brings the drama, because we could even see in the thing she's beefing with Meredith. Like, she clearly has, some drama that she's gonna unfold. So I guess they keep her around for a reason, because she brings the drama. I don't know. I'm very excited. We also are seeing that Meredith and Lisa seem to be rekindling their friendship, which I just love. I fucking love Meredith Marks. She is my favorite from the franchise, without a doubt. I adore her. I love her. And when her and Lisa stopped being friends after they were so close in the first season or two, it was so sad, because again, they were so close. They had such a good relationship, and like, when I was watching the first few seasons, I was like, oh my God, they're gonna have this girl, girls bond. They're gonna stick by each other's side, and it seems that they're gonna like rekindle and be close again, which I'm so excited for, because I really did love their friendship. So we will see what's in store there. I don't know. There's just like a lot to unfold. I feel like there's going to be a killer season. We have three new girls coming in. I wasn't sure if they're friends of or if they're actual like housewives, full cast members, but we have Brown in Newport who is wearing some kooky outfits. We will see. She also seems to be ruffling some feathers already just from the trailer. Heather was going off on her saying like, if you're going to be in this group, you need to be honest and be truthful. And she like seemed to not give a fuck about what Heather had to say. So she is definitely ruffling some feathers there. And then we also have Maylee Workman and Brittany Bateman, who weren't really in the trailer that much. So I'm curious to see like how they unfold into the cast and like what's in store for them. But they packed so much into this trailer. I was like, there's no way they could fit two more housewife storylines into this trailer without like completely giving away the entire season. So I understood why they weren't really in the trailer that much, but I'm very excited. I love to see new people kind of getting thrown into the crew, and I feel like with this franchise specifically, they love to throw new people into the mix. I feel like especially in Salt Lake City, it's such a unique city. Such an interesting culture, if you could say. You know, those Mormons definitely have an interesting way of life, to say the least. So whenever they throw somebody new into the mix, it's kind of like throwing them to the wolves and seeing if they survive. Like, remember, oh my God, what was the girl? Jenny, was that her name? The one who got kicked off because she had racist comments. Like that was an interesting one. Obviously, Jen Shaw she did her fucking big one. Like Mary comes and goes as she pleases. Like I'm very curious to see how these three new ones fit in because especially coming off the tail of season 4 with all the Monica drama, especially after all the Jen drama season 3, like there's a lot at stake for this season. And I think throwing three new girls into this mix after the crazy finale they just had, I'm very excited to see where they fit into this mix, how they get along with the girls, and like what drama they bring or like what friendships they mend and things like that. I am very excited. The season premieres on September 18th, so literally around the corner. We are about to have so much fall TV, and I am so excited for it. And that brings us to the end of the episode. This was a long one. I have had a lot to talk about, and I appreciate anybody who's made it to the end, but you guys know I'm not letting you go just yet. We end every single show here at Two Pop to Handle with my yes and my mess. My yes being something I'm loving, and my mess being something I'm not loving. We always start things on a high note here, so let's kick it off with my yes. And it has to just be the fact that Jules LeBron, the creator of the very demure, very mindful trend, she can officially afford her transition surgery because of how much she has blown up in the past 2 or 3 weeks with this whole trend going viral. And that is just incredible. I have actually followed Jules for a long time. I found her during the pandemic. So, like 4 years I've been following her content, and she actually has been screwed over by a lot of brands. Like she's very transparent as a creator. Like she talks about like the way that as like someone who is trans, like people play in her face a lot. I know there were some controversies with Bratz a while ago. She makes a lot of like doll content. She collects like Bratz, American Girl dolls. Like that's like kind of the content she makes or used to make. She went viral originally because she would always carry around an emotional support Bratz doll back in the pandemic, and then it kind of blew up from there. And I've been following her since. Bratz apparently screwed her over for a brand deal once, and then this one broke my heart. A few years ago, she was apparently reached out to by some brand that, or like a doctor's office that was going to completely fund her transition surgery, and all she had to do was like document the process, obviously to an extent. And she was documenting her process anyway, so it kind of was just like a match made in heaven. And like anybody who I can't imagine being somebody who is of trans identity and like wanting that transition so bad, like that surgery, obviously, like that is such a moment for a trans person. I can't even imagine that feeling. So she ended up, signing all the papers, doing the thing. And I believe, I could be wrong, but like the day of the consult or the day of the surgery, the brand, like the person from the brand, quote unquote, emailed her and was like, this was a joke. Like they were playing in her face, like they set her up and they like led her to it. They were like, we're going to do this. And like, these are your posting requirements. Like they were like feeding her information as like whoever did this knew what they were doing. They apparently sent her like briefs, like content briefs, like told her how long the process was going to be, everything. Like they were going to pay up front for all of her procedures and whatever. And I just remember seeing the video of her like hysterically crying and being like, I am so tired of people playing in the trans community spaces. And like, it just, that broke my heart. And so now to see her having this moment and this like demure renaissance, if you will, and the fact that now she can fully pay and afford to get her transition surgery because of this just makes me so happy. I love it. I love to see the internet doing something right. You know what I mean? The internet does a lot of things wrong and is definitely a scary and evil place. But when things like this go right, I love to see it. Moving right along to our mess of the week, Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck are getting a divorce. I mean, it was on all of our 2024 bingo cards, let's be real, but Jennifer Lopez, I feel bad for her as much as I do think a lot of the things that in her life go wrong kind of can be avoided by her not being so J-Lo, if that makes sense. Like she very much I feel like she kind of it's karma. You know, we always hear kind of like not so great things about her in, the business world and like how she treats people, things like that. And I just think like this is just like a full circle moment. Like don't get me wrong, I do not hate Jennifer Lopez by all means, but I've said it before, like I think she needs a long break from the public eye between like her self-funded documentary or movie, whatever, that made no money, her album that sold nothing. It was like the lowest charting album ever. Her tour that had to get canceled, that got rebranded twice. Like she has just been through it and I feel so bad, but at the same time I'm like you're Jennifer Lopez. You can control a lot in your life. You have a lot of money and a lot of power, and I feel like you can make some decisions in your life that aren't going to end so negatively. And I just think the fact that like now her and Ben getting a divorce after it was such a big deal that they got back together and she had all this like I don't know. She just was like, I feel like she was just like on this up and up and up and up and up. And it was just like one little like gust of wind that knocked her down. And every single pillar she had built over the last few years is just falling. And this feels like the final big boss at the end. It actually turned out they filed for divorce back in April. So this has been going on for a while, which does kind of make me sad to think that like when the whole tour cancellation and like the album flopping and like all that, hubba bubba J-Lo went on. Like she was also going through this divorce. That was a very public relationship and that was very like people were celebrating Ben and her being back together because this was like early 2000s kids' dreams to see the two of them back together. It was like a Hollywood love story. They end up together at the end, da da da, whatever. And now to see them getting the divorce, like it's definitely sad, but I also think there are some things that Jennifer probably could have done. And Ben, you guys know. I believe women in every situation, but I do think when the cards are played in a certain way and you're dealt a certain hand, I do think, some cards could have been played differently and maybe her 2024 would have ended up being a little bit different, but I'm going to stand on the fact that I think J-Lo needs to just like go away for a bit, live her life with her kids, do her thing, kind of like stay under the radar, come back, I'm going to say 2030. Take a good 5.5 rather years off. Take a breather. Don't be in the public eye. Stay single. Don't release music. Don't release a project. Don't release another documentary. Don't try to go on tour. Just live your life. I know you are set. You have money. Like you are good to go for a few years to not do anything. Let your assets just like, continue to flow. Let the Jenny from the block money continue to fund you. Take a breather, come back in 2030, and it will be like Jennifer Lopez back in action. Like I can see it. I can see such a comeback for J-Lo if she just plays these cards right. She needs to go under the wraps, undercover, Taylor Swift reputation style where nobody sees her. Go under wraps. Don't be seen. Don't be heard. Just be quiet, do your thing, and come back in 5 years. And I promise you, I mean, maybe I can't promise you because I'm only a boy with a microphone, but I just think there would be such a better response to a greatest hits tour, to like your comeback, to your resurgence. Like it could really be a moment, but that's my advice. I don't think this is ever going to reach Jennifer Lopez or anybody in her camp. So like who am I to say, but that's what I would do. And I think being, a pop culture connoisseur for 29 years, I think I have a good say in it. But what do I know? I am just a boy with a microphone who is now gonna end his podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode of Too Pop to Handle. If you like what you heard and you're listening to us as a podcast, please, 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 by Sabrina Carpenter, leave me a 5-star rating, leave me a review. I can't express how much it means to me and how much like it makes me so happy to see, even if it's just a rating come through, even if it's a 5-star, like it doesn't even need to be a review. Obviously, I would love a review, like gas me up a little bit more, but even just a rating like makes me so happy because it makes me feel like I'm doing something right. Leave me a rating, share this with a friend. If everybody shares this with one person, I double in listeners. It is simple math. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button, leave us a thumbs up, leave us a comment down below. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what your thoughts are on the Love Island reunion. Let me know what you're thinking about the Housewives coming back. Let's chat. Let's, talk down there. Also on Spotify now, you can leave comments so I can respond to comments there. Leave me a comment, leave me a rating, share it with a friend, do all the things. Check out our website, twopopthehandle.com. All of my social links, my Instagram, my Twitter, my TikTok, everything is linked there. Follow me there. Follow my personal. I am at Andrew Nucatola. God, there are so many things to remind you guys at the end of every episode. Thank you for sticking around. And with that, I will catch you guys next week. Bye.